Everyone, this is lecture 9 in its first part, and I'm going to talk about Polyline. Polyline is one of the most important commands in AutoCAD, and you might notice that when I was drawing this plan for the midterm in the previous lecture, I used one of the commands that's like get me out of the problem that we always fall if we have a wall, a grid with a wall based on it, and instead of having the grid lines offset based on 100 and 100 ups and downs, and we have this complicated grid that we need to carve our layout or external wall from it by using either fillet or trim. We can use a single line that made out as a one geometry. It's actually a multiple segment line that act as a one object, and you can create an open loop or closed loop out of it, and that might be very helpful, especially when you offset. So if I have a polyline, a PL, that's the shortcut, and I'll go against the grid lines. So something like that. I know it's not the same that we've done in the video, but just to show you, for example, how quick it can go. Something like that, and then C space to close it. Now when I select that, it will act as one object, and that's the beauty of it. And in it, I can just go offset and 100, and then one line up and one line down, and then I select the one in the middle and delete it. So you might see that's how fast it is to create a polyline that represents the outside of the building, while in the previous example we either go to use a fillet or trim. Of course, if you use trim, it's going to be like a punishment in here for yourself. So fillet radius, fillet radius 0 and then multiple, and then you come and select each two lines, and then this way and then this way. We experience this, and although it might look the fastest way if we compare it to the trim method, but it's still a kind of a painful method to perform this job, which might take a long time. So again, Polyline PL, and in it you are free to draw lines. As you can see, you can just hit escape to cancel the command and make an open shape like this one. When you select it, it made out of a group of lines or segments, or you can go ahead and create a group of lines, and then when you want to finish, you just C space and you're going to close it, and that's a closed loop. And when you send this to 3D Studio Max and then apply extrude to create a fully enclosed geometry, you can generate area for it. You can use it for hatch on boundary here inside AutoCAD also. So polyline is really important to create and to understand the areas of an object, making a hatch, defining a specific area of a building or specific area of a walkway or anything else you want. The problem or the downside here in our case, for example, when you want to stretch those lines to the inside and use extend command, it technically will not work because it's not not a separated entities in here. So you might need to hit X for explode, and you need to explode those two lines, select them, and then hit space, and now you actually return them to the single lines. You cancel now the polyline, and then you just go ahead and hit extend, and now it's work as just a line, and you trim them back, and that's it. So we create an object, a continuous object, explode, select it and hit X space, and it's gonna get back to its original shape, and that's it. It get back to the origin separated lines. So here, for example, also a group of separated lines that I created, out of a polyline, and then I explode it, and I can just simply, for any line or any polyline, sorry, that I explode, or even any group of lines, like explode this one, like this one, I can just turn any group of continuously met at end lines into a polyline. So I go Pedit, okay, P for poly, edit, and then, you know, select any line. It's a line again, it's not a polyline. So when you select it, it's gonna give you this message that do you want to turn it into one. That means it recognizes that it wasn't a polyline, so yes, accept the default, and then hit join, and then, you know, select everything that it's actually connected to it, and, you know, finish that in a couple of clicks, and now you turn it back into a polyline again. Same thing here if you want. So it's Pedit again. It's a really nice command. Sometime with a polyline, you can you know, draw continuous lines. That's the default case. And again, if you hit A space, it's gonna, you know, turn it back to, you know, curves, and it's gonna keep drawing curves, as you can see. I can hit L space again to turn back that into lines, you know, and I can go A space and close that, and then hit C space, and yep, ambiguous response, so C space, yep, okay, L space and then C space. So a polyline can work, as I said, to create lines. But if you want to change it into arcs, just A space, see, and in this case you're giving diameter. If you hit or remove F8, I think it's allow you to create more free shapes like this one. So it's good for you to creating pools and something like that. And you hit hit L space to turn it back to, you know, the line mode, and it's going to start drawing the line. C space again to close it. So that's another more detail about how you draw lines and curves within the same command of a polyline. The last thing to be talked about here is complicated issues that might need us to create a continuous polyline, maybe for a hatch. Sometimes hatch doesn't work on that, sometimes it works anyway, especially when the boundaries you want to create, or the continuous polyline you want to create, is those boundaries of the buildings and then the walkway around them, or it's just the boundary or the polyline needs you to go PL and, you know, use the intersection to create you know, a continuous shape that follow or trace an intersection of another objects, like in a case like that, so they are not really ended to join them, for example. So PL again, and Pedit might not work in here, and it could be, even if you work it out here, it's going to be a painful process to be done, and a long again. So there is a command called boundary, so BO. It's a lovely one, and it's allow you here to create a polyline immediately by picking a point, very similar to hatch, by the way. So you just click here, you see it's immediately defined the boundary based on the intersection area, and you hit the space, you see that guy. Now it's a boundary, it's a polyline based on a boundary command. You can use it to make extrude again, or have the area or anything else as a closed geometry out of that, offset it to make walls, for example. Same thing here, you see also those are a separated entity. So boundary again, polyline, just pick, and when you hit here and you hit the space to finish that, you get this boundary and this boundary and this boundary, and that's also a beautiful, and it's really an important command, because it's saved a significant amount of time when we work with you know, a separated line that you want to create a polyline out of them. Anyway, I wish that you find this video useful. Thank you very much, guys, and have a good day. Bye bye.